How did you learn about menstruation?
I had a class in about 4th grade where we talked about it a little and just that it would happen.
I remember 7th grade health class, my teacher putting a condom on a banana. Everything else is kind of a blur. It was a pretty poor class. The guy didn't really know what he was doing.
There wasn't a whole lot of talk of like the method of like avoiding sex when you might be ovulating or anything like that. It was just kind of like menstruation happens. When you have sex, you should be safe, so do X, Y, Z.
It was pretty much sex ed hours.
Did they talk about anything about like fertility or anything like that?
Not really, not a whole lot.
How do you feel about public breastfeeding?
Like out here.
Yeah, like if someone was just sitting out here feeding their baby.
It's kind of like weird. I mean, I don't think you see as much of it as like back years ago, but it's definitely kind of eye-catching, and it's like, whoa, that's happening.
I don't think it's offensive to anyone because, you know, the baby needs to be fed, but there should be other ways for it to be done, not like out in the public.
Are there any negative side effects using the pill or other contraceptives that you know of?
From conversations with my doctors, or from what they've told me, there's not a lot of negative side effects. It can have, you know, positive side effects more so than the negative ones, but I'm not aware of too many.
What are the negative ones that you are aware of?
I guess I don't know like specific examples off the top of my head.
What is your name?
My name is Leah Jacobson, and I'm the founder of the Guiding Star Project. I think our current system is really failing our young women, starting at a very early age. And for most of them, it's with their middle school or even earlier, their sex education classes. The only things they hear right at the very beginning are about the negative consequences of an action. They don't focus at all on how it naturally should occur. They hear a lot about STDs and a lot about broken hearts and a lot about this horrible, awful consequence of unintended pregnancy. New feminism wants to look at our fertility and our childbearing and breastfeeding and just our abilities of our body as attributes, as strengths to women. The current voice right now is coming from women's health providers such as Planned Parenthood and just some other big names that the message is really negative about young women. It's all about what you can't do, how we need to suppress you, how we need to change you, how we can alter you so that you can fit into society. This all came from this feminist idea of your body is going to betray you, it's going to hold you back. So you need to get on top of it and suppress it. That's a strong cultural message right now, and we need a lot of voices to counter that. The Guiding Star Project is an effort to pull together resources in a community to streamline the process of how we serve women. We want to look in a community and say, which services do you have here that really affirm women's bodies, women's roles, women's contributions, and we want to pull them together into a location that actually makes it easier for them to serve women, to help them understand, you know, this is what ovulation is, this is my fertility, this is my cycle, I don't need to alter, I don't need to suppress it, I don't need birth control and pills, these different things, because it's naturally going to work very beautifully. A culture that would embrace new feminism would embrace motherhood, fertility, breastfeeding, childbearing, just all aspects of what it means to be a woman. We want Guiding Star Centers to put out a coordinated message about new feminism. We want to have a cultural message that is contrary to what we're currently hearing, and we think that by bringing all these services together that we can have more voices. It should really try to streamline the process for the patient, but then also serve the organizations or the providers by creating a greater referral network for them as well, so that they can refer to anyone in-house, that they know that ideologically they agree with one another, that they all see life as valuable, that they all see women's bodies as really wonderfully made, and that they know that if they're sending them to anyone else in the building, that the women are going to get a consistent message.
Well, good evening and welcome to this Now or Never live webcast to discover right now more than ever before that this is the moment to revolutionize women's healthcare as the foundation for building a true and sustainable culture of life. Please, I'm going to ask you to be active in the comments throughout this event, and time permitting, we may be able to pull up some of your comments on the screen and reply to any of that in real time tonight. Less than 4 months ago, on June 24th, 2022, the Supreme Court case of Roe versus Wade was overturned as judicial overreach, marking a historic turn for our nation by ending this perceived right that was placed that issue back in the hands of the people to be regulated at the state level. On one hand, there have been groups celebrating this decision as a victory towards a culture of life. But on the other hand, there's been a lot of confusion and fear over what this means for the future of women's healthcare. You can see here there's some articles from Scientific American. Overturning Roe versus Wade could have devastating health and financial impacts, this study shows. Here from the New England Journal of Medicine, the end of Roe versus Wade states power over health and well-being. Here from Boston University, overturning Roe versus Wade will worsen health inequities in all reproductive care. The Texas Tribune saying nurses say that we're worried a ban on abortion is merely the start of health problems that women will face. The science is clear, overturning Roe versus Wade will hurt reproductive health. And most recently, a Mother Jones article saying that inside an anti-abortion group's campaign to sell women on unreliable birth control alternatives. And interestingly, in this article, they cite as one of their biggest concerns is considering the Guiding Star Project. This article actually did so much that the group Live Action just issued a rebuttal to highlight what they got wrong about women's health and the Guiding Star Project. So this is the third group, though, that is pointing out that this Supreme Court reversal is actually a victory for women, ending a patriarchal decision that has been imposed by 9 women, telling women across America that rather than expecting society to change to better support womanhood, that they had instead placed a burden and expectation upon women to alter, suppress, and destroy the normal healthy functions of her natural body in order to achieve the same career and societal goals as men. While meanwhile, this only furthered a culture of men being conditioned to use, abuse, and objectify women without consequence. This culture of objectification is something that I know that every woman in our society, including those of you watching, has experienced in some way. And that's something that I apologize for as a man. My name is Mark Cavaliere, and it is one of my greatest honors to serve as a board member for the Guiding Star Project. On this webcast tonight, you are going to discover the crucial implications of this Dobbs decision on the state of women's healthcare. You're going to discover the unprecedented opportunity to revolutionize healthcare services for women, as well as the radical impact of empowering women to love and understand their natural bodies. You're also going to hear the empowering truth that whole women are happy. And here to help you learn how you can help change the landscape for generations of women to come is the CEO of the National Guiding Star Project, which she founded in 2011, feeling called to help women and families by providing resources that honor natural law and promote a new feminism, creating Guiding Star centers to serve as beacons of hope, joy, and truth, as safe havens that uphold the dignity of life in all stages. She lives in Minnesota with her family and works as an internationally board-certified lactation consultant, founder and CEO of the Guiding Star Project, and author of Holistic Feminism, Healing the Identity Crisis Caused by the Women's Movement. It's my honor to introduce one of my dear friends, heroes, and visionary extraordinaire, Leah Jacobson.
Thanks.
How are you doing, Leah?
I'm good. I'm good tonight. How are you down in Texas? How's
Very
it doing?
good. Very good. Thank you. I'm excited to hear all the updates that you have for us tonight.
Yeah. Well, first of all, I just want to introduce you a little bit further because you didn't introduce and share really your role with us on Guiding Star. And as the CEO of Guiding Star, I want to acknowledge and thank you for serving on our national board of directors. Mark, you've been an incredible force for good in the work that you're doing in El Paso, Texas. I want to talk about that work in a little bit. So I want to highlight that you and I get to work together professionally on this mission a little bit too. And so thank you for your work that you do with us at Guiding Star.
My pleasure.
I think that you started this off really beautifully, highlighting kind of the current zeitgeist around the issue of women's healthcare and abortion in our country.
love that you shared all these different articles and you gave voice to what has been resounding in many of our ears for the last several months. If any of you have logged into TikTok or Instagram or any of these sort of platforms that our children are on, even Pinterest, Facebook, not so much. None of my kids are on Facebook, but maybe you're seeing these ads as well. The other side of women's healthcare, the other worldview of women's healthcare has really upped the ante in the last several months to create a sense of fear, to stoke this idea that women are going to die now that abortion is restricted in some states, in some ways. And we at Guiding Star, we don't think that. We don't believe that abortion is a solution to healthcare challenges. We don't believe, that rampant contraceptive use, that artificial hormonal alteration of our daughters' bodies is a solution to their real gynecological and health needs. We think that everyone deserves to understand, embrace, and love and know the body that we're given and that we live in, that we can know ourselves only when we fully know and understand and embrace this beautiful body that we live in. And so while there is this growing fever pitch, this fear that is growing, I want to just take this moment right here at the beginning to invite you into a different worldview, a moment of calm and a moment of peace. I want to give you hope that there is something more beautiful on the horizon than any of us have ever experienced in our lifetime. If you were tuning in early, you may have seen an old video from Guiding Star that it just made me smile to see that video play again, because we had done that, I think about 6 or 7 years ago. We had gone onto a college campus in Minnesota and interviewed college students. We just walked around and asked them questions about what they knew about fertility, what they knew about breastfeeding, what they understood about childbirth. And we found that it wasn't a surprise at all. For me, especially as my history and campus ministry taught me, that working with college students, that our young adults and our young people are not being given the education and the empowerment that they deserve to truly understand and live in their bodies. And this video that just played right beforehand, if you missed it, you can go back and find it on YouTube. It's an old video and it's called New Feminism in that video. And we were using the term new feminism because we were really trying to figure out what is it that is missing in the feminist movement. It needs to be new. It needs to be different. And as I've worked through my career as a lactation consultant and finishing my work on my master's in women's healthcare, I began to understand that it's this lack of holism. It's this lack of an integrated understanding of female bodies, of our fertility, how it interacts with our mind, our body, and our spirit, and how we really have been reduced. And the modern women's healthcare movement has been one of the worst offenders of this reduction of a woman. The fact that our women's healthcare system, when you refer to women's health, it's almost synonymous with reproductive health for women, which is also synonymous with altering and suppressing and shutting down our reproductive systems. It doesn't often wade into issues of infertility or polycystic ovarian syndrome or endometriosis. These sort of other issues don't often get looped in there. We think of access to contraception and abortion really as the pinnacle of women's rights and women's reproductive justice and women's health. And so the world that I'm inviting you into, this vision, this worldview that I really hope that you can catch and understand the work that we're trying to do here at Guiding Star, is an entirely new worldview about what women deserve, what a holistic feminism, what a new wave of the feminist movement would proclaim, the types of things that it would demand for our daughters, the type of education that would just be normal for every little girl, that the shame and the stigma, everything associated with her female body would just be embraced and loved and normalized. I want you to imagine your healthcare experiences as women, had they been approached in that way, that your body is not the problem, that you are not broken, that your body is most likely going to do this just on its own, childbirth, breastfeeding, fertility, and that our job is to walk alongside you and support you and help you to trust it, to work with the process. There's so much fear and shame in our women's healthcare system, and we know that this is driving negative health outcomes. And so I want to set the tone for tonight by just saying, please open your mind, please open your heart to what the next generation of young women are going to experience in their healthcare. Mark, I hope you're still here because I wanted to talk with you a little bit about this. The books that we've been publishing at Guiding Star, I know that you've been promoting and helpful, getting our holistic feminism book out in the market and such. But as a center director, I know that you're interacting with women and young women and such. And so I'm hoping that we can convey tonight a little bit the media, the worldview, the shift that we're trying to talk about with women's healthcare. And as a father, as a father and a husband, the need that you see for this working in this field.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, that's part of my driving motivation in all of this is seeing how the current women's healthcare system has failed my wife, seeing really that it consistently defaults to trauma, very traumatic based interventions at every aspect on the whole spectrum of women's healthcare. Even before we were married, and just her going for checkups, they immediately said, you know what, just take these hormonal, class 1 carcinogen pills, and for these irregular cycles, and it made things even worse. And when she raised these issues, they're like, we're not going to listen to actually what you're saying, you feeling and trusting your body. We're just going to tell you that you're wrong. And then going through how we dealt with miscarriages and our first childbirth, and how a lot of times trauma is the default. And even reaching out and trying to learn how to learn natural childbirth. And it's just something that is so hard to find in a way that is being offered in a life-affirming way that reflects natural law. And I knew we needed to do more, especially now that I have 2 daughters. I know that I want a world that is better for my daughters, so that they grow up and they're not being victimized by this idea that they have to alter and change their bodies really at the convenience of men.
Yeah. And I agree. I have 3 daughters myself. I have 4 sons and I have 3 daughters. And I tell my sons all the time, your responsibility as a young man is every young woman's understanding of her goodness. Like, you are to remind her every day that she is good and that she was made good and that she's not the problem. That if, she's having a difficulty living in the world, if your sister or a girlfriend or some other female in your life is feeling ostracized, or like she has to run and hide because of something with her femaleness. Maybe she has her period or something, but to normalize that and not shame her, not say, oh, that's so gross, that's disgusting, but to just, accept that as part of who she is. Because I think we have internalized generations of deep, deep shame. And this is not just a couple generations. This is hundreds of years of women being, fit into tight corsets and uncomfortable shoes and ridiculous, sort of things. For what? And so we need the cooperation of men. And so I wanted to, just kind of highlight that you as a man, you're a partner in this project. You're a partner with women like me who are speaking, because you're the ones that affirm and tell us that's not crazy. That's a totally exceptional or a totally acceptable expectation. It's a normal expectation to want your workplace to understand the needs of your body. That's not something that's unreasonable. And so I just want to say that I believe fully that men like you and men like my husband and other men that we work with in this project are a critical piece of this puzzle. Even though I know we use the phrase feminism a lot, I consider you an ultimate holistic feminist, Mark.
As do I. I can say, in fact, I've got your book right here. I constantly refer it all the time and hand out copies. But it's amazing, and it's really life-changing. And I know it's changed the way I view and interact even with my wife. And I think this is the time more than ever we need to call men to realize that this is the time to step up. We no longer have this excuse that Roe versus Wade has placed to say, this whole burden has been on women for this whole time. And now we need to do more to understand women, to understand our spouses, their natural cycles, their bodies. And it's a really beautiful thing to work together and step up.
And I'm really excited to get to that next phase where we're going to start educating little boys. But right now, like, we see the need is that we have an entire loss of generational knowledge that has been passed on to our daughters. Our mothers didn't tell us what we needed to know about managing and charting our fertility. They didn't tell us much about childbirth. They didn't tell us much about breastfeeding. Many of us, my generation, we grew up in the worst breastfeeding rates in history in the United States. Only 24% of babies on average were breastfed in the 1970s, slowly increasing now, and it's improving. But we don't know these things from our moms. And so I feel the burden of responsibility placed right now in educating our daughters. Our sons, we need to educate, absolutely, but our little girls, they need to know that they're not the problem. They need to not be ashamed of themselves. And so you mentioned my book there. The other one that I'm so proud of that we got out this year. Do you have this one too, Mark?
Already.
You have it too. That's great. The Happy Girl's Guide to Being Whole. This is Teresa Kenny, a women's health nurse practitioner out of Omaha, Nebraska. And I love this book. It's aimed for girls ages 16 to 24. So a little bit late teenager, but it's full color. It's beautiful. It's really all the things that maybe you're too embarrassed to ask somebody. And maybe it's the things your moms don't know. And so we put that age on there, 16 to 24. But honestly, moms, if you don't know this stuff, I mean, there's stuff in here about, the follicular phase to the luteal phase, to all the different parts of our cycle, to the hormones and how they interact, the differences between synthetic, estradiol versus progesterone versus synthetic progesterone, and how it affects the body differently. We're not being told these things. So you need to seek out resources like this to pass it on to your daughters and younger generations. Both of these books are available through Guiding Star's lumenpress.org, my book and this book. But the other book I wanted to highlight is the book that goes with another program that we do at Guiding Star. And this is called What's Going On in My Body. And this is all about the female cycle, periods, and fertility. And this is from our Cycle Show program. So Cycle Show is that age from 9 to 12 years old, where a girl has just started the early changes of puberty. And this is a critical piece, you guys, in getting right. In that video that played before the webcast, it was about sex ed. It was asking them, what'd you learn in sex ed? They were kind of laughing. Oh, the guy put a condom on a banana and it was really bad. And they were laughing about how bad their sex education was. And it is a shame. It is almost just a kind of a crime what most of us learned about how the body works. We may have had a fear-based curriculum. We may have had something that said, you're going to get pregnant. It's a terrible thing. If you get pregnant, your life is over. Things are going downhill fast if that happens. But we're not taking the time to actually explain how pregnancy happens. And we're not highlighting that it takes a healthy body to get pregnant and to maintain a pregnancy. And that is an accomplishment. That's a tremendous accomplishment when that happens. So we've been working so long against this cultural narrative that somehow pregnancy is a disease, somehow our babies are burdens, somehow breastfeeding is going to keep us out of the workforce and from success, and that we're just going to be barefoot and pregnant in the kitchen forever if we don't use the pill and have abortions. And that has been a tremendous lie. It has prevented us from taking a proactive approach to raising the next generation. So that's tonight what we want to talk about strategically, how we're going to be spreading these Guiding Star centers across the country. This is the exact work we do in Guiding Star. I founded Guiding Star based upon the 4 core services. 3 of them are the functions of a female body, which are our superpowers of so ovulation, gestation, and then lactation. Those are the 3 unique functions of a female's body reproductively. And then the 4th thing that makes us so unique is our place within the family. And so all of our Guiding Star centers offer family life services, which includes a drop-in child watch at all of our locations, and then postpartum and breastfeeding care, pregnancy preparation and support with doulas and midwives, and prenatal care, and then that first fertility awareness and fertility education for everybody from ages 9 all the way up and through postmenopause. We deserve to understand our cycles. We deserve to understand our hormones, because if we don't, that's when fear creeps in. And that's what we've been addressing for so long. But it's this moment, Mark mentioned, now it's this moment that everything's changing. So Mark, I want to highlight a little bit what happened in El Paso when you guys shifted from kind of this reactive, address a crisis, try to stop somebody in a crisis, versus let's shift into proactive services. So tell us about what happened in El Paso, Texas recently.
Yeah, it's really exciting. We've seen this growing movement in this area, working towards building a culture of life and wanting to reach out and really empower women to be heroes of their stories. And by connecting them to all the resources that so often they don't know about, they just feel like they have no choice. But we've really seen the need in what is the root cause that's driving that's driving women into feeling that they have no other choice, that's driving them into these unexpected pregnancies in the first place. And we really identified that it comes back to the total lack of reverence for this sanctity of womanhood. There's kind of this attack on motherhood. And I talk about how everything from, a woman's fertility is said it's like a disease to be suppressed, and this burden, and pregnancy is often seen as like a cancer or even a commodity. Childbirth is something oftentimes feared rather than this empowering moment that can, literally define the rest of the course of your life. And even breastfeeding. There was that case in Austin, Texas a couple years ago where a woman of all places got kicked out of a Victoria's Secret for breastfeeding. Here a woman being objectified, but God forbid a mom needs to feed her child. And so at every aspect, there's this vilification of motherhood and of womanhood, really, saying that, to your natural womanhood, how your body is created is a problem. And so that we realize that, of course, if little girls are being grown up in this culture, then, when they suddenly are facing an unexpected pregnancy because they haven't understood their bodies at all, then of course they're going to be feeling like they have no other option and no choice and no support. So we really see the need to have a full medical alternative to a lot of the healthcare juggernauts that say that this is all we have to offer is just how to suppress and destroy your body.
Okay, I want you to tell us, though, what happened when you went into a full Guiding Star, as you moved into Guiding Star from, you'd previously been in the community for many years doing great work at this location. It was House of Hope Pregnancy Center. And then we began to affiliate and work with you about 2000, gosh, was it 16 or 17? I don't even remember the years anymore, Mark.
I know. Yeah. Okay. So yeah, interesting. So we saw the benefit of just reaching out and informing women who did not know of everything going on, that, there is a place that will honor your body, that, without shame or judgment, that's going to walk with you no matter where you're at in your state of your womanhood. And so as the pregnancy center here rebranded and said, we need to do more. We've been doing ultrasounds and pregnancy tests and diapers and support, and that's fantastic and that's great, but we need to offer more comprehensive services, more healthcare services. So rebranded into Guiding Star. And at the same time, as we increased our outreach to a lot of women who felt they had no other option but to destroy this normal healthy function of their body, we saw this actual correlation. I'll pull up here on the screen, where you can see that in the year 2017, the green bars are showing the number of pregnancy services that started increasing from 2017 to 2018 and continued every year after that. Meanwhile, the number of induced abortions by El Paso County residents dropped the following year and every year since, until 2021, when there have been no, since the end of 2020, there have been no reported abortions for El Paso County residents in the county. While all of those women, an equal number of those women now are receiving the pregnancy help services because they were able to be empowered with this information. That's what they really wanted. They didn't really want to face that option that said that you have no option but to destroy. They just needed to know that there's a place that will walk with you, and even beyond helping you to choose life, to carry your pregnancy and to choose motherhood, that we're going to continue to have healthcare providers at every state of this, not just until you get through the pregnancy.
I wanted to just focus on that because we're talking about like the post-Roe world and Dobbs, and so much about how with a lack of abortion, women are going to die and women are not going to have choices, and they're not going to, it's the assumption that every woman wants and needs an abortion. Right. And I think like what you guys showed there proactively, by adding services, by expanding the scope of what you were doing for women, by adding medical care, by adding social support services, adding just an additional breastfeeding stuff, just kind of changing the approach of, no, your motherhood's not a problem. We're going to make sure that you're successful in that. And even just highlighting things like state protections and laws for breastfeeding, like helping them to understand this is not something to be afraid of. Like, we don't need to be so afraid of what our body creates. Your body is good, and therefore what it creates is good. And that was before the heartbeat bill, I think, too. That was the other interesting point about that, wasn't it? 2000.
That's correct. We saw pretty much a complete lack of any demand for abortion services prior to the Texas heartbeat law, prior to the Dobbs decision, and it was completely eliminated from the El Paso County area before all of that, just by reaching out and informing more women and offering these services. And I think it's important too, because here we are and we're like, well, we're talking about crazy, women in unexpected pregnancies. Like, what's the bridge here with breastfeeding and all this stuff? But you have to be able to say that we're going to walk with you, that there is information, there is knowledge to understand this. It is normal, it is healthy, and it's not something to fear.
Well, and I want to speak to that point too, because there might be people watching that. I'm a board certified lactation consultant. So that's actually the work that I do. And I can tell you that part of the reason Guiding Star is founded and part of the reason that I push all these things so hard at Guiding Star is because I see women in that direct postpartum period where they just gave birth. They have this beautiful baby. They're breastfeeding. They're going through all the hormone swings, all that stuff. And I will have them say things to me like, I am never doing this again. Like, this is horrible. This is so bad. I'm getting sterilized. I would have an abortion if I get pregnant again. I'm hearing those things because they're so traumatized by the healthcare experience or by the transition, the loneliness, the stigma. They're covering up with hot blankets in the summer in Texas, and it's just hard and uncomfortable for no reason. It's completely unnecessary for it to be this hard.
And it's interesting because a lot of times the organizations like Planned Parenthood will point out that most women seeking abortions are already mothers. They already have children, and they use that as a way to normalize it. But what we're not really asking is, and a lot of times that shocks people. These are women who've carried children and given birth and nursed children and seen ultrasounds. And why is it that they feel? And the question is, are we asking those women about their birth experiences? And it was kind of mind blowing for me to learn that a lot of times, even going to life affirming obstetricians, a lot of times in subsequent pregnancies, women will still be going to abortions because they didn't have more of a holistic approach that actually worked around the functions of their natural body.
I was actually and we'll have to keep moving. I'm so excited that we're talking about this, but I just was writing an article. I'm working on a blog post right now, and it was highlighting birth trauma. And I found quite a few statistics that showed as many as 45% of birthing women say that they feel traumatized to the level of PTSD by their birth experience. Some aspect of the fear, maybe it was pregnancy with hyperemesis and throwing up and feeling like, oh, so traumatized by that, or the actual labor and delivery, or the immediate postpartum. Almost half of all women feel traumatized to the level of a PTSD response. Sure. That's shocking.
From personal experience, I remember after our first birth, we didn't know any better. We didn't understand the difference in seeking out holistic care. And I remember, our first pregnancy ended up in an unintended cesarean section, and it was very traumatic. I remember something being difficult to talk about for about a year before we could even really start to address those wounds and those feelings that were left in the heart of my wife, and that was very hard for me as a husband. And then in subsequent pregnancies, knowing that there needs to be better. There's got to be a better alternative in seeking out more of a holistic care that would work with my body and work with my wife's body and her desires and her wishes and her goals, and finding it. And since having 4 home births, which were beautiful and empowering experiences that have just completely, put on course the direction of the rest of my wife's life and mine as well. So there definitely is something that we need to be doing more to fix this problem.
Well, and I just want to point out one last thing. So there was a recent New York Times article. It was actually called "Traumatic Pregnancies Are Awful. Dobbs Will Make This So Much Worse." And it was pointing towards this idea that, legalized elective abortion is, an essential aspect to avoid birth trauma. Instead of pointing at the system and saying, hey, why are women so traumatized? What is it about how we're delivering our healthcare services here? There was nothing in the article about actually correcting, the infant mortality rates, the maternal mortality rates, the scary bad breastfeeding rates in many states. Instead, it just said that more women are going to have to experience traumatic pregnancies because they're going to stay pregnant. So I think that this is a moment in time where we fix the healthcare system, where we say the delivery of healthcare is what's broken here. Trauma is not a normal experience. This shouldn't be normal.
And as you get into your announcements, what is it though that about right now? Why we called it this now or never webcast? Why is it that this is the moment that we can't miss the mark here?
Well, so I just want to point out that right now there are currently about 22 states where there are such severe or heavy restrictions on abortion that it's no longer happening, that abortion is pretty much gone in about 21, 22 of the states, give or take, surgical abortions. This is a tremendous opportunity. This is a moment for us to look at what are the outcomes for women's healthcare in those states? What have they been historically? What has the past 10, 15, 20 years looked like for maternal and infant outcomes? How are women doing? How many emergency C-sections are happening? How many breastfeeding, women are successfully meeting their goals for breastfeeding or any of the recommended standards put out there by the World Health Organization or the CDC? And if we look at those states a little bit more closely, we can see that these tend to be the states right now where they have had very bad outcomes for a very long time. It's a moment for us and an opportunity, because in the absence of abortion services in these states, can we at this moment in time move the needle positively towards better maternal outcomes in this moment? Because we are being told over and over again from the other side that without legal abortion in these states, women will die. What happens if women's health actually improves in these states in this moment in time where we don't have abortion access for all women, that women can instead lean into their bodies, learn to understand them, become comfortable with the idea of, I am made to do this. This is not a disease. If we can show in this moment that this has been just a grand lie for so long, that abortion is not healthcare. It never has been healthcare. Neither has this unnatural altering of women's body. Neither has this chemical just destruction of our fertility. Never has this been healthcare. This has been a Band-Aid, and this has been a very poor substitute for what we all really need and want, which is access to greater support systems, a government, a society, corporations, churches, individuals that see us as women as equal truly as we were created. So that's the feminist in me painting a picture of what we're trying to create. And in these states in particular, I have a call to those of you that have been doing the work on the ground for a long time, many of you for 40, 50 years in pregnancy resource centers. At this moment in time, we need the infrastructure that you have built. We need your networks, your spaces, these communities that you've built to move into healthcare, to expand services, to be able to speak into birth trauma, to be able to provide lactation to support, to be our partners in improving public health outcomes for all women and children. It is a critical moment for us. We have a tremendous opportunity. We can pull the cover off of this lie that abortion is healthcare if women do better in these states when abortion is gone. It's a moment for us.
Now, I know you've got a couple of big announcements that everyone's really excited to hear, Leah.
Oh, are you making me do these?
Oh.
I can do them. I can do this. So the biggest announcement really, so we have a couple of marks on this. Marks, not you. Sorry, Mark. We are aiming for, in the next 3 years, we are planning for 15 new affiliates in these particular states in the next 3 years. And then our 10-year goal and our expansion projection is that 10 years from now, 10 years from this moment right now, that we will have at least 50 Guiding Star centers up and running in this country, providing this type of healthcare, providing healing healthcare for women. So we need your help to do that. We're calling this our expanding access to women's healthcare, to women's health services. And in order for us to really get into these states right now, we already have applications from a few new centers. We're vetting them. We're looking at those communities. But we really need, before the end of the year this year, to expand our infrastructure and services. We really need to get our budget up about $100,000 from where it's at, what we were projecting we would need. And so for tonight, am I making this announcement right now? You want me to say what we gained?
I'm ready for it.
Okay. Mark knows this because he's on my board of directors. And I keep texting all of them. I'm like, we've been gaining support for this. I've reached out to many of our biggest supporters and some of our best friends over the past week or so and said, we're doing this thing. We got to get our budget up there so that we can go now. And so we have had some generous donors step forward with a $50,000 matching challenge for us for the next week. So it's not like through the end of the year. You can't wait on this one. We have a week from tonight, next Thursday night, the 20th by midnight. Whatever is given up to $50,000 will automatically be matched by these donors. So the pledges have already come in, $50,000. And then obviously we would love to go above that, but their match plus your donations would put us at that needed $100,000 to really kick off an expansion to women's healthcare campaign, which in 3 years we'll have 15 new affiliates open. We currently, if you're not aware, Guiding Star currently has 7 affiliates in 8 locations because Mark has 2 locations. He's an overachiever. And then in 10 years, we'll have 50 centers up and running if we can keep on this pace. So I really want to invite every one of you to partner with us if this type of healthcare, if you understand the need for it and you want it for your daughters. because we want to give it to them. We want to pour into this next generation and fix this problem.
Yeah, and this is amazing. So thank you, Leah, for those announcements. I want to take a moment real quick and just show folks how to take advantage of this opportunity, if that's all right. So one thing that you can do is if you're watching this right now on the event page, there should be two big buttons below. One says one-time gift, and then the other one says join the Luminary Club. And so I want to take a little bit of a moment just to walk you through these, because these are two very different and important opportunities. So if you pull that up right now, if you click that first button for one-time gift, you're going to see this opportunity to double your impact. And this is something that is huge. To make a donation and have this immediately double. There have been these incredible match donors who believe so much in this opportunity to expand holistic women's healthcare as the ultimate true solution to getting to the root cause of building a culture of life, that they have put forward this opportunity to double your impact. And so this is huge. You know, I teach my boys that, you know, when God created the world, that as his final act of creation, he creates woman, really as his masterpiece. And here in woman, he creates this beautiful, really as a tabernacle for this image bearer of God. And that's the reverence that we've lost. You know, a lot of times, even in churches where, you know, sometimes women veil, or women veiling up to at their wedding up to the altar, there's some beautiful imagery and sanctity in that, and looking even at the tabernacle as being like the living, you know, the dwelling place of God on earth. And, you know, only the high priest could go and unveil this at the right time, because it was not because it was shameful, because it was sacred, it was holy. And we've lost that, and we need to instill in our culture again this reverence for this beauty. Even the word matrimony, recently I was looking at matrimony. Matra means like a matriarch, or even like matricide, you can think like, but it means motherhood. And the whole purpose of this is that it revolves around womanhood. It's the culture. It's the center of everything in our culture, and we've completely vilified and lost that. And so the only organization that I know of that is really looking to seek this as to solve this at a comprehensive level, really getting to the identity, the very identity of womanhood. Some people are, you know, confused too as why organizations that profit off of abortion, like Planned Parenthood, are also pushing services like hormone replacement therapy. And a lot of it's really getting at you know, the very identity of womanhood, and changing that and saying it's not special, it's not sacred. And we're saying, no, it is. Your body is good and is created beautifully and wonderfully. So by clicking on that now, you can help get to this root cause of this and to build a culture of life. Clicking that button, and if you're watching this on Facebook or somewhere else, then you can go to guidingstarproject.org/webcast, and you can find these links there. But when you click that Give Now button, you're going to have an opportunity to really discern this. You know, how much are you being called to give tonight? And this is a huge opportunity, only for 7 days, but until midnight on October 20th. This impact will be doubled. So, you know, if you're being called to give big tonight for something like $25,000, you're going to help this expansion campaign to expand these centers from 7 to over 20 and eventually 50 Guiding Star centers, of these one-stop shop comprehensive holistic women's healthcare centers that celebrate the beauty of natural womanhood and childhood. For a gift of maybe $10,000, that's going to be doubled into $20,000 impact to help more women find prenatal care and ultrasounds and support throughout their pregnancies. For a gift of something like $5,000, that's going to be doubled with an impact of $10,000 to help women find the education that they're not getting right now in our culture, to understand her fertility as a gift rather than something to be suppressed and hidden. For something like $2,500, that will be doubled to $5,000 to help spread these lactation programs, to support every woman's breastfeeding goals, rather than her being told that this is something that is a burden and a perversion, that this is something beautiful and empowering. For a gift of something like $1,000, doubling to an impact of $2,000, that's going to help increase the current 22 partnering organizations to unite this growing movement of holistic women's healthcare. For $500, you'll have an impact of $1,000 to help one of these 142 life-affirming prenatal and birth experiences that so many women have already found to change their lives. For a gift of $250, that'll have an impact of $500. That'll help more of the 2,445 women who've been empowered by these services so far in this short time, including mothering and parenting classes with in-house child watch, so that women are able to go and actually receive this education and services, knowing that there's somebody there to watch her kids. Even for a gift of $100, it's going to be doubled to have an impact to help increase the 12,134 holistic services provided to women currently with just 7 centers as an alternative to organizations like Planned Parenthood. So, and there's also an opportunity, I don't want to make it clear that you can put it in for any custom amount. No amount is too small, but of course, no amount is too large either. So you can choose your gift here. I would encourage you to then select this box to cover the processing fees as well. So the Guiding Star Project receives your entire gift of support. And you'll come on this page, you just put in your information, your credit card information. You also have the opportunity to donate with PayPal, or you can also donate if you need to make your donation offline with a check or a bill pay or something like that. You can go ahead and count your pledge so that it's doubled here with an offline donation, and then it will give you the instructions on where to mail that check. And you'll go ahead and process that. And the next screen, it will either give you a confirmation. In my case, I actually got stuck on the screen showing the spinning thinking, but it did get processed because you should get an email receipt in your inbox for that gift that you've made. So just push that button and go ahead and make that gift. Now, the second important opportunity, though, that we really need to consider is, in addition to that one-time gift that's going to help this expansion campaign that Leah just announced to spread this now in such a critical time. I mean, this is a historic moment. What we do right now will literally lay the foundation and shape the landscape of the future of women's healthcare for our children and our grandchildren. And we have to get ahead of the other side that is saying that we need to come back. We need to somehow bring back the worldview of Roe versus Wade, telling women to alter, suppress, and destroy their bodies. So we need to get ahead of the curve right now, more than ever before. Guiding Star Project is at a time where we can't just survive. This is the moment Guiding Star Project needs to thrive. And in order to do that, the organizations that truly thrive are those that have a strong support of their monthly members. And at Guiding Star Project, you can be part of the Luminary Club with a monthly membership of any amount. You click that second button down below the video that says Luminary Club, and you'll have this opportunity to join with any monthly amount right here. And you know, as someone who runs a nonprofit, I can tell you that this is the lifeblood. Think for a moment. Imagine if you only got paid once a year and you didn't know exactly when that money was going to come in or even how much it was going to be. That's kind of how Guiding Star Project and a lot of nonprofits operate. But the nonprofits that have the highest impact are those that have predictable support that they can count on month to month, so they can actually budget smartly. And that's why this is so important. That one-time gift is critical to helping this expansion campaign, but this monthly support is absolutely necessary to get to the end game, to get to the 10 years down the road, to see 50 Guiding Star centers changing the culture, changing the landscape, so that Roe versus Wade doesn't come back in one shape or another. So go ahead and click that second box and really discern this and choose your amount, and you'll follow the same amount you have the option to cover those extra gifts. Put in your information, and again, you can use either your credit card, PayPal, or you can set up offline bill pay services or something like that, and click join now, and you will get that receipt. So I am super excited by that, and here to speak a little bit to this opportunity and this mission is a keynote speaker. And this is the founder and president and CEO of Sidewalk Advocates for Life, as well as a licensed attorney. She was part of the first 40 Days for Life campaign and helped with their national campaigns with over 20 years of sidewalk outreach experience helping women. Just earlier this year was named Pro-Life Woman of the Year at the annual Pro-Life Women's Conference. I just got to hang out with her a couple days ago for about a whole day, and it was such a blessing. And so now it is my pleasure to introduce Lauren Muzyka. How are you doing, Lauren?
I'm doing great, Mark. Thank you so much for having me. It is so great to be with some of my heroes tonight, Leah and Mark, and so many of you. Thank you for all of your great work to defend women. And to all of you watching this broadcast tonight, I'm so honored to join with you in this mission to reclaim the natural, original definition of true feminism. Now, I want to apologize ahead of time. I've been filming a documentary this week, and I'm in the middle of nowhere in New Mexico with spotty internet. So hang with me if I'm a little bit delayed. We think we found some good internet. Let me just be among the first to say, happy post-Roe America. Since the Dobbs decision was handed down 3.5 months ago, we have shifted from one general battle, abortion on demand, through all 9 months of pregnancy. You know, a lot of people don't realize that Roe and its progeny, these subsequent abortion decisions, actually allowed states to sanction abortion until the point of birth. And on the flip side, allowed for very few restrictions on abortion. So we've gone from that to now 50 individual state battles. The issue of abortion, as we know, was sent back to the states. And thanks be to God, the people of each state now have the opportunity to protect life. But what we're seeing is that the abortion industry is relentless in feeding its bottom line. They have hijacked feminism, and they've told us that the epitome of being a woman is literally the freedom to take the life of your own child. That's unbelievable. I've been in New Mexico this week getting my mind around these so-called abortion destination or abortion tourist cities and states. And I'm seeing how a beautiful state like New Mexico, with salt of the earth people, is not just allowing abortion until the point of delivery, but is literally advertising how much they love abortion and encouraging abortion businesses to exploit the legal loophole and invite people across the border to do abortions on women of other states. Now, contrast that with my home state of Texas, just to the west, right? The Lone Star State has committed to protecting women from abortion trauma and preborn children from a violent procedure. And what I'm hearing on the ground, the resounding message for both the pro-abortion side, so if your state still has so-called abortion access, and then on the flip side, in the abortion-restricted communities, is that it does not matter where you live. We, the people of these communities, we're part of a family, of a local community. We need to be there to provide comprehensive resources and support for the women of our community, because the abortion industry is relentless in trying to get women, when maybe that contraceptive has failed, to seek an abortion, to make money off of them, and to entice them across state lines. You know, let me just say this. It is absolutely true that the Dobbs decision was a step in the right direction. Lives are being saved through state laws. We literally have seen women exit abortion facilities. You know, those of us that go to the sidewalks of America's abortion facilities, we're seeing women leave and say, well, you know, I'm too far along, or, you know, some sort of circumstance, I guess I'll go home and have the baby, literally because it's illegal. We have heard women say this. One of our teams in Houston, Texas, they were on the sidewalk just a couple weeks after the Dobbs decision was handed down and abortion was made illegal in the great state of Texas. They were able to help 14 women board a mobile ultrasound unit. The vast majority of them chose life. These were women who were prospectively seeking a referral across state lines, right? And so what we're seeing is, by just being there for women and offering services, we are saving lives before they're tempted to cross state lines. But of course, we always knew that there would be a population amenable to travel. So again, whether we find ourselves in a community that allows abortion or a community that has banned it, we have an opportunity. We have to realize that in now this post-Roe America, unexpected pregnancies have not ended. So the question is, how can we best serve women in their reproductive years and get to them before America's largest abortion provider does? The other thing that I'll mention real quick before we continue the conversation here is that Planned Parenthood, you may have seen the NPR article about this. Planned Parenthood recently announced that the replacement for the loss of abortion income because of the overturning of Roe is this so-called transgender hormone therapy. They have been pumping minors full of hormones that can cause huge physical and psychological problems, and many times without parental consent. So this is kind of the new landscape, Mark, that we face here in post-Roe America.
Lauren, this is Leah. I just want to say thank you so much for joining us tonight and telling Lauren, you have just such a unique perspective, because like you said, you're the people that are actually on the sidewalk. Like you're the extremists, you know, the pro-life movement in a sense. Like, you know, we're doing the healthcare. We're working with the women one-on-one. You mentioned something about, you know, women that are saying like, I guess I'm just going to go home and have my baby. Like almost like the two options are equal. Like, oh, I can't get the abortion, so I'm going to have my baby. You know, and I think what I hear when I hear that, I think of, then let's make sure that you have the best experience possible having that baby. Let's not give you another reason to think that you need to end up here again next time. So I just thought of that when you said that, because I'm like, there's so many women now that are entering into the birth world, entering into, you know, this women's health system that weren't planning to be there. And so any further trauma to them is going to just be, catastrophic and detrimental. I wanted to ask you a little bit more though, just kind of the shifts that you're seeing on the sidewalk. You said, that the revenue stream is shifting in the states where abortion is no longer legal, that it's shifting into this sort of like gender care. And for me, that's incredibly concerning, not necessarily because, we work against any sort of transgender movement or anything, but for me, that's concerning because it indicates to me that there isn't a focus on that preservation or that understanding of the natural body. That concerns me. Are you seeing a different clientele coming into the clinics? Like, what are you seeing on the ground, on the side?
Yeah, it is so interesting when I hear from our sidewalk advocates who are there primarily to serve women who are facing a crisis, like such a crisis in their lives that they're literally considering taking the life of their own child. They're now saying that, about every fifth client or something coming into their facility is going in for the so-called transgender hormone therapy, right? And now having to serve this population who is struggling. I think my dream for everyone who's entering an abortion or abortion referral facility, again, if you have a decent population in your backyard, you likely have at least an abortion referral facility. Again, if you're in an abortion restricted state, right? But again, we still have to even go sometimes to that proverbial town square to get this information into people's hands. My dream is having a guiding star facility in every backyard, right? I mean,
me too.
It's
me
so
too, because
important,
it's
Leah.
straight.
Yeah, because what?
Oh, go ahead. I'm just like,
no. I got to tour one of these facilities when I was actually going from Texas into New Mexico. I actually visited the El Paso facility, and I was about in tears because as sidewalk advocates, when we stand in front of these facilities with all these different types of clients who have various medical needs, right? It suddenly hit me that this is the one-stop shop. Sidewalk advocates feel so many times like they have to be the jack of all trades with, okay, when someone is seeking this type of service, they go here. Someone is seeking this type of service, they go here. So many women don't want to get their well woman exam at an abortion facility. Like when we tell women, hey, this is an abortion facility, they're like, whoa, I had no idea, right? And so anyways, we feel like sometimes our resources are a little piecemeal, but whether we're serving, the transgender, hormone therapy seeking client, or whether we are serving the women who is facing, the woman who is facing an unexpected pregnancy, when we can send her to a one-stop shop, when we can send her to a guiding star facility that will address her comprehensively as a person, that will give her organic, life-affirming solutions, it is a dream, because it can be so tough when so many people are going in and out of an abortion facility. They have so many different needs and really don't want to be there. They feel like they have no choice. And I even hear that from the healthcare clients. They really don't want to go to an abortion facility for their needs. And so anyways, I'm just so excited about this model. And I hope people can really get their minds around understanding what an incredible solution this is in post-Roe America for so many different clients.
Well, I got so excited when you were talking about it. I was like, blah, blah, blah. because what you had also just been talking about is you were touching on, every fifth person coming in is coming in for a totally new service that you've never seen before. I remember a women's health building, an abortion clinic, where I went to college in Duluth, Minnesota, called the Building for Women. And I remember that many of my friends went there for haircuts, and they went there for the YWCA, and they went there for all these other kind of totally unrelated services that were housed together in this building that gave women a million reasons to be going in there. And so, as soon as you said, they actually had an art gallery, which was fascinating within the abortion clinic. And so, when you create kind of this like community center environment, you destigmatize like what's actually happening. You kind of like, you desensitize, I guess is what I should probably say, that, oh yeah, well, that's the area where they do abortions, but I'm not here for an abortion. I'm here for a haircut. I'm here to have my hair done. Like, I'm not supporting that. But the reality is you are supporting that when it's part of this, larger complex, when it's part of this larger building. And so I think in some ways, we're giving, the alternative of a Guiding Star Center where there's a million reasons to be in this building. You might not even be pro-life. You might not even share pro-life convictions. You might be very pro-choice, but you might love the lactation consultant in our center. You may be coming because you want to learn natural, organic birth control options, fertility awareness methods. We want these centers to be open to all kinds of women that have a million reasons to be there. And we hope and pray that, in that interaction, that they will come to treasure and see their fertility as a gift, their bodies as miraculous, and whatever they create then is miraculous. Because if you are good, what you create is also good.
Yeah. And Leah, to your point, this is a stunning statistic. 96.6 of all pregnancy-related services at America's largest abortion provider, Planned Parenthood, is abortion.
Yes.
Like, I want people to get their minds around that this entity that holds itself out to the world as a so-called expert of reproductive health care, the vast majority of women of childbearing age who find themselves in an unexpected pregnancy, who walk through their front door, choose abortion, even though they say that they're giving women all of their choices. That should stun anybody, no matter what it is that you believe, right? And that's why we go to these facilities as Sidewalk advocates, is to offer them a real choice. But I will tell you that we are only as good as the resources that we are offering. It does not work as a Sidewalk advocate to say to someone, well, don't have an abortion. Well, why? I mean, this place has been perceived as a solution for her in the midst of a crisis, or a perceived crisis, right? And so when we're out there saying, we've got this incredible medical facility for you, and, this is a comprehensive reproductive medical facility that doesn't treat your fertility as a disease, that is not going to send you the message that you might literally have to take the life of your child through an invasive, violent procedure that runs against her natural ability to give and celebrate life. A facility that not only will meet her in an unexpected pregnancy, but can help her through the course of her reproductive life, and supporting all the unique powers that makes her unique and different from a man. I mean, like, what a game changer, right? This is so much more than just telling women who really are being duped by a predatory abortion industry. This is so much more than saying, hey, well, we can help you in this situation. Like, we can help you throughout your life with any life stage that you find yourself in through the Guiding Star model. And that's why this is such a dream for me, with 240 Sidewalk advocate teams across the United States and Puerto Rico, Mexico City. If we had a Guiding Star in every community, this would make our job so much easier, and it would better serve women.
Amen. Amen. And I mean, so we've been focused so much on these crisis women for so long, because that's been the reality, is that women are in crisis and we have to address that. But then if we can take this two-pronged approach of proactively preventing the crisis by being in relationship with them and having a relationship with our center as a child, coming in and learning your cycle show, you know where to go, you know what's safe, you know who loves you. You know where to go then if you do end up in crisis, or if you don't end up in crisis and you just end up pregnant, and you're happy about it and you want to come in, we're still that place for the girl in crisis, for that girl totally happy about her situation, for that woman dealing with recurrent miscarriage, for all the situations that we can find ourselves in. True women's health care is holistic. It handles all of it. It never reduces us down to the need to just have an abortion and contraception. And that's the reality. We have to just shed that light that there's nothing there besides abortion and contraception. They're not going to help you with anything but that.
Yeah,
So.
absolutely. Absolutely. And I'll just say too, I've been at abortion facilities for more than 20 years. I don't see women empowered. I see a lot of brokenness. I see fights break out between couples in the parking lot. I see women crying. I see men crying. I don't see women skipping in there happy and empowered and feeling like a woman at that moment. They know that something is not going right, but they just don't know what else to do. You wouldn't believe how many women say to me, I'm here because I feel like I have no choice. I mean, how ironic, right? Like, abortion was supposed to provide women a choice. And yet they tell me the complete opposite at these facilities. And so I think it's so beautiful that we can reclaim the narrative of women's empowerment, what true feminism is. And it's not dismissing what we know to be true about womanhood, the special superpowers, honestly, that we have, right? It's about affirming those and giving women a real choice. I would love to stand in front of these facilities and have, you know, a comprehensive solution for every woman and man, you know, who walks in there as well, for a family that can work together to celebrate themselves, how they were made, how they were created to give life through their very beings. And so I just want to thank you so much for the great work that you've done in this area, and special thanks to Mark. And I really hope that we can rally together here in the pro-life movement and beyond. Honestly, if you're somebody who believes in eating organic and right, and taking care of yourself,
you belong.
I have talked to so many women even who have been harmed by their birth control. I've talked to women who have an IUD embedded in their uterus, or their hair is falling out because of the Depo-Provera, who are very sick and are trying to get off the pill. These things aren't natural. They're not good for our bodies. They're carcinogens, and we can do so much better than all of these options for women and family.
It's a invitational, it's a hopeful, it's a beautiful worldview about what we can do. And so I'm grateful to have you alongside us in the work that you do. Thank you for being there, because women need that little bit of hope at a dark time, just to be told you're good, you're good. So Lauren, I can't thank you enough. I know that we have one last little announcement here before we close up here for the evening. Teresa Kenny is also a board member of the National Guiding Star Project, and she is the author of the Happy Girls Guide. And so she wanted to just pop on. She wasn't available to be, she's actually teaching a fertility awareness class right now. And so she said, I'm going to record something, but I want everybody to know this exciting little bonus. Mark, do you have that? Can you share that?
Hello, this is Teresa Kenny from Omaha, Nebraska, and I am a women's health nurse practitioner with over 22 years of experience in women's health. And I am the author of The Happy Girls Guide to Being Whole, published by Lumen Press. So I am here to speak to you very shortly and briefly about how passionate I am about the Guiding Star Project, and why it's so important for you to get involved and to give generously, because every young woman out there deserves this information. The Happy Girls Guide to Being Whole is everything that I want a young woman to know. It's what we didn't learn in sex education, and it gives so much information about their bodies and how they can take charge of their health. I know you are going to want a copy for yourself and for someone in your life that you love. So tonight, it's a very special event, and we want you to give generously. But here is a bonus gift for you. If, as a part of this campaign, you give a one-time gift of $250 or more, please give more, or $25 a month as a pledge, you will get a signed copy of the Happy Girls Guide to Being Whole, signed by me, Teresa Kenny, and you will get a copy signed by Leah Jacobson of Holistic Feminism. 2 amazing books that's really going to make a complete package for every young woman in your life. You are going to want to get this. So please, tonight, give generously from your heart, because this mission is something that we want to spread across the world. Thank you to everybody out there who has supported the Guiding Star Project, and thank you for all of your support.
Okay, everybody, I want to thank everyone who put this matching fund together. I also wanted to give you an update, Leah, that just in the few minutes since we announced this, we've already seen over $2,500 donate. Oh, actually, it's updating now even more as we speak. Let me see, what is that? That's another. Yeah, so pushing $3,000, doubled an impact of $6,000 here just in a few minutes. And like you heard in the video, you're going to get for those 200 gifts of $250. You're going to get these 2 books signed by the amazing authors, including Holistic Feminism and The Happy Girls Guide. These are beautiful, amazing books. You mentioned earlier, even moms should read these. I also want to say even dads should read these. If you got a girl, you want to know how to best support her and help her as you're going along. So I also want to just call out special thanks to Irene, to Fred, to Jane, to Sarah, to Sharon, Janelle, Bethany, everybody who has been donating so far already in this short time. We've also got people coming on who've been watching. We've got hello from Minnesota. Also, we've got, I don't know, some special award we got to do because we got a hello from Portugal. Vanessa is joining. Yeah. And then so many who have pointed out that, you know, this is really some like a scalable franchise model. This is something that no other organization promoting a life-affirming holistic view is doing in this way. Other people pointing out monthly support is absolutely critical. Monthly support is so important. This is going to help serve women. Somebody's already asking you to open one of those next Guiding Star centers in Michigan. And we got a shout out for the Happy Girls Guide as an amazing book from someone who's already read
I
it.
just have to say, I love some of my staff members that I saw and some of our affiliate directors from around the country, those comments. So our team, our family here is so amazing. So thank you to everybody who's already donated. That's incredible. We're off and running.
Absolutely. So don't forget, though, 7 days only between now and midnight, October 20th.
Yes.
And that being said, I think you had a special send-off before we wrap up here. Is that right, Leah?
I just wanted to close. I know we're about 4 minutes over, but I'll make this fast. So I wanted to close with the Guiding Star prayer. This is a prayer Mark is familiar with, and all of our affiliate directors and center staff are familiar with this. It's a prayer I wrote a few years ago, and we pray it every day in all of our centers. And so I just want to share what unites us in our mission at Guiding Star as we close. So please feel free to pray along if you want. Oh, there's Mark and I. Okay, here we go. There's Son, Holy Spirit, amen. Creator of the universe, we humbly come before you today to offer our talents and gifts to your service. Please use each of us to do your will. We see the goodness of all you have made, especially in your most beloved creation, the human person. No part of any person you created was a mistake. We know that you made man and woman to complement and complete the whole image of your love. You gave us one another for companionship and comfort, and we know that our minds, bodies, and spirits were meant for authentic relationship with one another. Assist us in our efforts to restore wholeness to each human person. We dedicate ourselves to sharing this good news with all those we meet so that they can understand, embrace, and love every human being made in your image and likeness. Help us all to be guiding stars in our homes, families, and communities, sources of warm and inviting light. May we serve as hopeful beacons to those living in darkness, and may our actions bring dignity to all we encounter. Loving Creator, guide all people to the fullness of truth, and may our world experience the depths of your love. Amen.
Amen. All right, Leah, thank you for everything that you do. It's been a pleasure. And anything else before we say goodnight?
No, I'm just so thrilled about. I'm gonna get a blog post up here pretty soon, just a call to us to expand the services of our movement. And so everybody, please pray into how you can use your gifts and talents to grow a more holistic, a more hopeful view for women's healthcare.
All right, this is it. Thank you, Leah. Have a good night. And this is it. This is your opportunity. 7 days, October 20th, midnight. Share this link. As soon as this video is over, on this page, it's going to become a replay. So you can still send people to guidingstarproject.com/webcast so they can access this replay only for 7 days. Hear all these amazing announcements. Hear this incredible opportunity to have their impact doubled at this historic moment to really lead a movement that is revolutionizing women's healthcare to build a culture of life. So that being said, a couple of last minutes, we got some people thanking everything going into the webcast. Praying for all the donors and the donations. A Holistic Feminism book, also amazing. Thank you, everybody. Get your copies of the book. And you're gonna want to get an extra copy to give away because it's that amazing. So thank you again.